Okay, as we mentioned when we started learning the Orchos Yosher between Mincha and Mariv, he goes according to the Aleph base, according to the letters of the alphabet, Aleph through Taf. So we did most of Taf, which is Torah. We're going to go back in the Aleph base right now to letter Chaf, which is what he writes over here for Kavod Chavera, for a person honoring and giving the proper respect to their friends. Now this is very apropos for our period of time that we're in right now, certainly before Lag BaOmer, that's for sure, and according to some even after Lag BaOmer, because this is the time that the Talmidim of Rabbi Akiva passed away. 24,000 Talmidim passed away. It's a very difficult time of the year. On one hand, there's a great excitement that we're getting closer and closer to Kabbalah Satorah to Shavuos, and the excitement is mounting every single day. On the other hand, it's a period of mourning for Klal Yisrael because we're mourning the loss of the students of Rabbi Akiva. And the Gemara says over there, what is the reason? Because Shelo Nagu Kavod Zeh Lezeh, they didn't give each other the proper kavod, the proper honor. So I'm not going to answer that question because that's Rabbi Schwartz's shir tonight, which I'm encouraging everybody to please attend this evening at 8:30 p.m. Bring your wives, bring your children. If they're quiet, bring your friends. We would love to have them. But we have to understand, what? No pets. No pets. That's a hard one in Tarzana. But we have to understand ourselves, what is it that is so terrible about not giving the proper kavod that would warrant such a terrible destruction of the students of Rabbi Akiva? And therefore the way that Rav Chaim builds it up is, what is the importance of honoring one's friend in the proper way? Yesh lizar ma'oid b'chvod chaver. A person should be very careful. He doesn't write very careful in all of the other letters. By every other thing that he writes, a person should accomplish. But yesh lizar ma'oid, you should be very careful to make sure that you give the proper honor to your friend. Because it's not like we learn in the Mishnah in Pirkei Avos, yikvod chavercha, the honor of your friend should be chaviv alecha k'shalach, should be as honorable to you or beloved to you as your own. As much as you love your own honor, as much as you love yourself and your dignity, you have to love your friend's honor as well. Uba'avos Rabbi Nassim, in another Maimer Chazal, it says, Ketzad, how does a person express the great honor and the deference to one's friend? Melamed, we learn, Shekeshem Shirayas Kvoida, the way that you view your own honor and respect, you should see your friend's honor and respect of himself in that way as well. The way that you would like others to honor you, that's the way you have to honor others. The way that it would bother you if something was damaged in your own kavod, that's the way you should treat other people. Just like nobody wants a bad name said about his own honor. If you knew there were rumors on the streets about what you did, or the way you treated people, or the way you spoke to people, or the things that you have done wrong, it would bother you, to no end it would bother you. And you would do anything you could to protect your own dignity and your own honor. So that is a kach, you should never ever want to be Meitzah Shema, to bring a bad name about the honor of one's friend either. Ube brachas, in the Gemara in brachas it says, Hizaruk b'chvod chavrechem. Again, be careful with the honor of your friends. Ubishvil kach, and if you will be careful by giving your friends the proper honor and the respect, so tisku l'chai olam haba, you will merit the world to come. By simply giving again, I'm not going to answer all the questions, as you have to stay 8:30 for the shir today with Rabbi Schwartz. But if a person will give the honor in the way that it's meant to be done, the way that you would want honor and respect for yourself, in that way you will be zeicha, you will merit to have the world to come. Ubi psachim, in the Gemara Psachim it says, Minayin liyedei b'chaveo shu gadol mimenu afilu b'davar echad chayev linog b'kavod. Says the Gemara in Psachim, it learns out that if you know that your friend is greater than you, in even only one thing, you know there's one area that he's better than you, whatever, he davens better than you, he's nicer than you, he drives safer than you, he has a better pet than you, I don't know, whatever it might be, that you know that your friend has one thing that is better than you have an obligation, says the Gemara, to show him the honor that he deserves for that one little extra thing that he has. And if we would imagine that in every single person, you could always find something in another person that they have, even just a little bit better than you do. And then he writes that in Bava Metzia, the Gemara says, Tamir Chachamim shebeBavel, the great sages in Bavel, they would stand up for each other. When one would walk into the room, the other ones would stand up. And if God forbid one of them passed away, they would tear kriya, they would mourn the loss of that one. Even though normally the laws are that you stand for the main Rebbe that you have, and you tear kriya on the main Rebbe that you have, but over here they gave each other such covet, such respect and honor, that when they dealt with each other with the greatest and the highest level of deference and honorableness. So he brings down over here a beautiful maisa that when Rav Chaim Kanievsky was born, his father, the Stipler, certainly had no shortage of great Rabbanim that he could have chosen as the Sandek for that bris. But when they got to the bris and they called up for the Sandek, none other than the Stipler himself went into the chair of the Sandek, and he was the Sandek by Rav Chaim Kanievsky's bris. So Rav Chaim said, but my father had nobody else to ask. They were some of the greatest Rabbanim of the generation. Living in that town, amongst them was the Torah Tamima, who was the son of the Orchos Yosher. He was one of the Gedolei Ador at that time. And they were very close. They were very close to each other. So why didn't he ask one of the great Rabbanim that was there to be the Sandek? So Rav Chaim said that my father was concerned that if he asked this one to be the Sandek and not that one, he would hurt the honor of that particular Rav. And if he would ask this one and not that one over there, then he would hurt the covet of that Rav. So in order to alleviate all of the lack of covet, of honor that he could possibly give to the Rabbanim that were living there in that town, I think it was in Pinsk, so he decided, I'll just be this, even though it was probably not the most normal thing to do at those times, that the father should be the Sandek. Now it's like in style to be the Sandek at your son's bris. But back then, it was a covet, it was an honor to give to the Rav. But he said, I'll do it myself in order not to hurt the covet and the honor of anybody else. So Rav Chaim Kanievsky, when he was telling over this story, he said, I just would like to, for the record should be clear, for the honor of the Torah Tamima, who there were controversial things that were said about him in his lifetime, of things that he wrote, things that he said, things that he believed. And Rav Chaim Kanievsky said, everything that people say is all false. It's not true. I knew the man. I lived next to him. I remember him for many years. He was an Adam Gadol. He was a giant beyond belief. And he said that the stories that came about him from the Holocaust were that whenever the Nazis would get close to him and they would try to kill him, they would recoil in fear. This is what he writes over here. They would actually recoil in fear, and they would have no ability at all. How does he write it over here? He says that whatever German would approach him to kill him, the German himself would die on the spot. Not that they would die on the spot. And the Torah Timim, he would continue to live. And he ended up dying by natural causes at the end of his life. So here in the parak, in the chapter of giving the proper covet to others, he wants to clear the air that the Torah Timim deserves the proper covet, and people should not listen to the things that were said erroneously about him. Okay, we'll continue later, but once again, if you stay tonight for the shir, you'll hear much more insights than what I'm just beginning to speak about tonight. Rabbi Schwartz has a powerful and a masterful shir tonight prepared to understand the depths of the students of Rabbi Akiva, what Kavod and After L'Orecha is really all about, and stay tuned for a powerful shir tonight, so please join us.